Hey everyone, it is that time of year. Kids are back in school. We are getting ready for some fall weather. We're starting to see the pumpkins getting orange in the fields. And so we bring in the guy, Jim Salge. He's a fall foliage expert for Yankee Magazine. Every year has a great write-up looking at all the factors that come into our foliage season across New England. Jim, thanks for talking to us for a little bit today. We always love to see you in the fall.
I appreciate that, Eric. It's an exciting time.
All right, so it's exciting. It can be stressful. If you're really into the thing, you love scouting out your fall trips, your pockets, where you're going to go, where you're going to spend your weekends. You want to make sure you maximize it. And this year, we have a couple complicating factors that are on the table.
Yeah, so we had a lot of wet weather in the spring. That brought a lot of fungus into the forest, so that added stress. And then the foliage just kind of, was doing fine after that. And then all of a sudden we went into this crazy drought. So we have drought stress, fungus stress, and we have some new pathogens and diseases as well.
Oh, sounds great. You put it that way. So let's start with the drought. This feels to me very similar to last year. Maybe it started a little bit earlier, and maybe the focus of the drought is a little bit different than last year, but we had another year where we had some rain in the spring and then the faucet just turned off. And it's been really dry the last couple of months, and the epicenter seems like it's in northern New England this year.
Yeah, northern New England is very dry right now, and that drought stress is starting to show up, especially on ledges and in roadsides. So people are starting to see fall color already. What we don't want is for this to progress too much further. We don't want a lot of days where it's really hot and really dry. If that continues, we're going to see a lot more browning rather than the early turning, and that's about the worst thing for the northern New England economy.
Who's showing the greatest stress right now? I'm just looking at the maps. I haven't done a full road trip myself yet to see it in person, but it seems like around the Mount Washington Valley is one of the drier spots. Does that jive with what you've been seeing in your travels?
Yeah, eastern White Mountains, mountains of western Maine are very dry. And then down East Maine, they were one of the first ones to show the early leaf drop and the browning. Some areas in down east have actually gone past the early turning color at this point. So really concerning there.
All right, so it's dry. We're in early September. We're still weeks away from what we would call peak foliage, although there's several peaks to the season. Can you salvage basically the season by getting rain now in the next week or two, or is it kind of baked in when you get into the first week of September and you've already had your stress in the summer? Is it kind of beyond saving?
No, the forest, the contiguous forests at least, the unbroken forests of like the White Mountain National Forest, Green Mountain National Forests, and down East Maine are all pretty healthy still. What's not going to be saved is, we love seeing that red blueberry scrub on the ledges when we take a hike. That's all browned already. That's not going to come back. Some of the roadsides that are turning early, that's not going to come back. But the contiguous forests are good. They need the rain. And if the rain comes, I think we'll be okay. If the rain doesn't come soon, we're going to start to see a lot more browning.
Now, we were talking earlier. You said you had a fishing trip planned and you're canceling the trip because the river's so low, you can't even really go fly fishing in portions of northern New England.
Yeah, I was going to go to the Rapid River, and it's renowned for brook trout in the fall, and they're just going to have to stay in the lakes until either the rivers really cool down or we get some rain. So it's unfortunate, but that's how it goes.
Yeah, every year is definitely a challenge. So that's the weather side of it. How about, I guess not the bug side of it, but the fungus side of it and the nematode side of it? Beech leaf disease has really become a big headline for foliage here in New England, and this might just be the start of what this might end up being down the road.
Yeah, it's a really sad thing, honestly. We love in northern New England seeing the beech understory turning bright golden orange. It's the last leaves to turn. They last a long time. You hike through these like tunnels of beautiful beech leaves. But this beech leaf disease has shown up in the last 2 or 3 years, and it's spread more rapidly than any pathogen we've seen. This might be the last year for that glowing understory ever. It's just really devastating the young trees, especially in the northern forests.
So how did this come to be? I mean, can you explain to people who might just stumble across this and they're watching, what is a nematode? And how did it end up spreading? Where did it originate from? And how quickly is it taking over some of these trees?
So we really need research on it. We know it came from Asia. We know it came in through shipping through Ohio, but we don't know how it's spreading so fast. The only real answer for how it got from Ohio to here is probably wind dispersal. So these tiny little roundworms, by the millions, are infecting the beech leaves. They crawl into the new buds in the fall. They are winter hardy. The cold isn't going to kill them. And then they come out in the spring. And you'll recognize the beech leaf disease by these banded leaves of light and dark green. And then they curl and then they die. And that's going to take the trees with them over the next couple of years, which is a big change to the health and diversity of the trees in the northern forest.
Would you equate this to something like when we saw Dutch elm disease come through New England? Is it going to be that drastic in the next couple of years? We might lose that many of this species of tree?
The experts are hoping that it does better, or that we start to have some ways of controlling it better than Ohio. But Ohio saw 40 to 60% tree mortality with the beech trees when it first hit. And in the next couple of years, there's no reason to suspect that we won't see the same.
Wow. I mean, there's nothing you can really do, I guess, if you're thinking about the whole forest and the vastness of a forest and trying to save all those trees. Maybe you have an old beech tree in your yard at home and you've seen this, the banding showing up on the leaves, and you want to try to do something about it. Is there anything you can do about it? I mean, I've seen some research about different treatments that might be working.
Yeah, there is hope for individual trees, trees of cultural significance, yard trees. There's a fungicide that is showing promise. Definitely want to reach out to your state's cooperative extension, the local forestry services. They're going to have the frontline information on that as we begin to learn how to combat it.
Okay, all right. So we've done drought, we've done beech leaf disease. I feel like those are our two big headlines. How about some of the other little things that can happen year to year? You mentioned fungus. Also, are there any mast years for certain species of tree that we should be watching out for where they're putting out a lot of seeds?
So what's really interesting is last year the white oak, the red oak was having a huge mast year. And as things start to cool down, people are going to have a lot of mice moving into their garages this year. It also left the red oaks vulnerable to the spring rains and the mildews. So they are not going to be as vibrant in the fall this year just because of all the mildew and fungus on them. And that's a facet of what they did last year in terms of seeds. This year, nobody's really putting out a huge mast crop. White oak is putting out some acorns. Beech is putting out some beech nuts, and the bears are really going to appreciate that. But yeah, nobody else is putting out a ton of seeds this year.
Okay. All right, so we've talked about a few of the mitigating factors. Maybe we shouldn't have led with that. Maybe we should have led with this. What's good about the foliage season this year? What are you looking forward to? Are there certain types of trees or a certain time of year that you think are going to perform really well?
Okay. The good news is the maples always are the headliner in New England, and the maples are faring best of all the trees between the fungal stress and the drought stress. Some of the red maples have some leaf spot. They're not browning. They're not curling. They're doing okay. So I think the big forest, the big show, your big hike, your big drive is going to be okay so far this year. And we're really hoping that, New England's always beautiful, and you're going to find beauty in all of the activities that we love about fall up here.
Yeah, I always think foliage season is always great. There's just levels of great, right? Some years it completely blows you away. Other years it's just, it's nice. You go outside and you take it in and enjoy.
Yep. So you mentioned last year's drought. Last year's drought was important, but it wasn't terrible for the overall foliage. We did just fine with the overall leaves.
Okay, if you were planning a road trip, if someone watches this now and they're making their plans for late September into October, are there any certain points that or places that you really want to point out and say that's going to be a perfect spot this year, or this is going to be the time to strike this year?
Yeah, I don't think anything is going to be perfect. I think the Green Mountains in Vermont are going to be better than most. I think people should plan to go earlier rather than later compared to the historical averages. So, I mean, starting in late September in northern Vermont is going to be probably your best foliage of the year. And then as the wave slides south, as you said, the drought is less severe. We hope that the forests hold up, and as we wait for the foliage to reach southern New England, that we get some rain in between.
All right. Great information as always. Definitely appreciate your time, Jim. I know you're a busy guy. A lot of people want to know what their fall is going to look like, and you always have some great insights. So thanks for joining us to talk a little bit today.
Always glad to. Thanks so much.
All right. Enjoy.